John Harbaugh got honest on the Ravens backup quarterback situation after the Ravens week 1 preseason win over the Indianapolis Colts. We talk about that, stars from the game, and a roster evaluation. All that and more coming up on Locked On Ravens.
You are Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Ravens. Welcome into the show. I'm your host, Kevin Oestreicher, Ravens Wire, here with you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks so much for being here, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day and your first listen each and every single day. We're free and available for you on all podcasting platforms. That includes in video form on YouTube, where you can like and subscribe to the channel, and in audio form where you can follow along and subscribe as well. We're a 5-day-a-week Ravens show, so Monday through Friday, we bring you daily Ravens coverage, plus we go live after every single Ravens game like we did last night after the Ravens week 1 win over the Colts. We also go live after every single piece of Ravens big news. We also have the Locked On Ravens Squad show. That was live last night after the Ravens game as well. It's myself, Sam Njoku, and former Ravens receiver Kadri Ismail. We also had Ravens long snapper Nick Moore drop by the show, and he talked about Tyler Loop. Jordan Stout was an awesome episode. And we have new Locked On Ravens watch-alongs where we'll sit here, we'll react play-by-play for the full 3 hours of the game. And that was our first ever one that happened last night. So if you didn't know about those, now you know. Be sure to check out the games with us and react with a great community of Ravens fans and just NFL and football fans in general. Ravens win. They beat the Colts 24-16 to kick off their 2025 preseason. You know, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to dive into. And I think for me, the big conversation is obviously going to be around Keaton Mitchell, LaJohntay Wester, lots of positives to take away. Look, we got to all those. We're going to get to those in this show. We're going to focus on that in the second part of the show, some of the stars in the win over the Colts. But I really want to dive into this whole backup quarterback conversation and this, I guess, controversy. But usually when you say, oh, quarterback controversy, it's like, oh, who's going to win the job? Who's going to win this controversy is like, man, the Ravens have an issue at the quarterback spot. Now, luckily, the quarterback that actually matters for the season, number one guy, Lamar Jackson, he's pretty good. He's pretty good if you didn't know about him. He's pretty good. So as long as Lamar stays healthy, this will be essentially a non-issue. But, of course, this is football, and unfortunately, injuries do happen. And you want to feel good about the guys you have behind Lamar Jackson. And clearly, Thursday was rough. It was a rough go of it for Cooper Rush and Devin Leary. On the game, 59 passing yards. Yep, you heard that right, 59. Devin Leary goes 3 of 12 for 43 yards and interception. Cooper Rush goes 2 of 4 for 16 yards and an interception. Cooper Rush played a quarter. Devin Leary played the remainder of the game. It was rough all the way around. You know, you can look at the play-by-play, you can look at the tape, you can look at anything. It was not a good time. It was not a good time. It just felt like both guys didn't really have it. Now, we didn't really see a ton of Rush, so, you know, is it fair to pin everything? No, I mean, I would like to see more than 4 pass attempts for Cooper Rush, but his first pass attempt was an interception, and John Harbaugh actually talked about the passing game, and, you know, he got honest about it. He said, quote, "Oh, it wasn't very good tonight." I mean, I thought that it might have been. Is there a record for low in preseason passing yards? How many passing yards did we have? 59. Is there ever been an NFL preseason game that's been won with 59 passing yards? I mean, why don't you have that number? Yes, we'd like to pass for more than 59 yards, I assure you. So, you know, I'm glad that John Harbaugh didn't go up there and was like, yeah, you know, a lot of positives we saw, a lot of things we can work on. Like, you know, I'm glad he said, yeah, you know what? It wasn't good. It was not good. I think anybody who watched the game could clearly see it wasn't good from a whole perspective. Now, he was then asked about Cooper Rush, and he actually said Cooper Rush played well, which I don't know if I'd classify it as well. I just don't think he played a lot. And John Harbaugh actually made a good point that he had the drive, and then he had the interception, the pass, and then the punt return touchdown, and then he was out of there basically. So LaJohntay returning the punt return did, I guess, rob us of a Cooper Rush drive. And look, I'll take a LaJohntay Wester touchdown over a Cooper Rush drive any time of the day. I mean, there's absolutely nothing more I would have wanted to see in that moment than a punt return touchdown. So in that moment, like, yeah, John Harbaugh was correct that we didn't really get to see a lot of him. He had the punt touchdown, but I mean, again, in the rush, the throw by Cooper to Dayton Wade that resulted in the interception, it looked to me like there was pass interference. It looked like Dayton Wade got pulled down. They didn't call it. So, I don't think Cooper was like this horrible player during this game on Thursday, but, certainly could have been a little bit better. But that's really not the conversation point that a lot of people are talking about right now. I think people have mixed results or people have mixed feelings on how Cooper did. I think, yeah, he wasn't wonderful, but he also didn't play a lot. Still wasn't great, but I guess I want to see him in week 2 of the preseason. The guy who everybody's talking about is Devin Leary. And John Harbaugh talked about Leary a little bit. He said, Devin's a competitor. He fought in there, but the game just didn't go his way tonight. It just really didn't fall in place for him tonight for whatever reason. He talked about how he's had good practices and, he said that he's not going to say, oh man, that's it. But it's going to be one that we're all going to have to look at. He's going to have to look at it. The other guys just see what happened when we watch the tape. But that's pretty surprising to have that kind of night throwing the ball. So clearly Harbaugh was surprised based off the practices he had, but he also kind of just said, yeah, look, it really wasn't a great game. Didn't go well for him. Didn't go his way. And at this point, if you're the Ravens, Leary has not progressed from year 1 to year 2, at least from what we saw in this game. And that's what it counts, right? I mean, Harbaugh can say he has good practices and that's fine. Like, that's fine. Like, I mean that sincerely. But practices don't matter when it comes to games. And to me, if you can't trust Devin Leary in games, I don't know why he's on the roster. So I personally, I'd expect the Ravens to cut Devin Leary. They're going to not tomorrow, right? Not today, but I think they will give him a chance to kind of ride this thing out. But if it keeps going this way, they clearly are going to have to. And a couple of options. I mean, look, on the free agent market right now, Carson Wentz is by far and away the best backup option. Now, I'm sure he's waiting for an opportunity, not necessarily to start, but probably be the backup on a team. And the Ravens, obviously, that does belong to Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush has a $4 million dead cap hit if he is let go of this season. So Ravens, Cooper Rush is their guy. Cooper Rush is not going anywhere, right? I'm just going to say that now. Cooper Rush is not going anywhere. But for Devin Leary, I think that maybe they cut him, and then Tyler Huntley, who signed with the Browns, that was mainly for injuries, so I wouldn't be shocked if they decided to maybe kick the tires and see if he would come back. You do need more. I think you do need more at that position. It wasn't even just like, oh, Devin Leary had some really nice plays and then he had a couple of not so nice plays. It was horrible. It was one of the worst quarterback performances I've seen in a really long time. And like, I hate to say that. I don't want to be like rude or something, but like, I'm going to call it what it is. It was a terrible day for Devin Leary. There was no zip on his passes. He couldn't get the ball to where he needed it to go. He'd overthrow guys. He did have a couple of nice throws. It wasn't like every single play was bad, but when like 80% of your plays aren't good, it's going to cause it. He also does not know how to slide at all. He's going to get himself injured in a bad way if he keeps sliding or diving the way that he does. I mean, you kind of wonder what the next steps are for Devin Leary. Do you keep him as a developmental guy? I don't think there's a lot here. I mean, he wasn't the pick itself was not great in its own right. Like, I didn't love the pick when it happened. I thought Joe Milton was the last draftable quarterback, and the Ravens ended up drafting Devin Leary in the 6th round. I didn't love it then. He didn't really show me a lot in college, and it's kind of the same thing now. So again, I at least appreciate John Harbaugh acknowledging that it was not a good day for Devin Leary and that the passing offense was not good. I mean, look, I also want to say this. I feel terrible, and I said this on the post-game stream. I said this on the watch-along. I feel terrible for those wide receivers. It was Devin Leary and Cooper Rush did those receivers a disservice, an absolute disservice, because none of them could make names for themselves. None of them could. And this was in a game where, like, you had Keaton Mitchell be an awesome positive. LaJohntay West was an awesome positive. Like, the passing offense, though, LaJohntay was 2 for 41, and then the rest of the receivers, 1 for 9, 1 for 7, 1 for 2. I mean, I feel awful for them. These are guys who are fighting for roster spots like Dayton Wade, Scotty Washington, Anthony Miller, Keith Kirkwood. And these guys are getting balls that are over their heads, out of the end zone. They can't, like, the passes aren't strong enough. How are you going to make a name for yourself like that when the ball's not coming your way to even be presented an opportunity? Tez had a nice play out of bounds that drew a PI. LaJohntay's catch was nice, but they weren't afforded a lot of opportunities. So the Ravens do have a bit of an issue. And look, Cooper Rush has had some up and down practices, right? It's not like Cooper's been lights out at practice here. So the Ravens, I think, do have a little issue with the backup quarterback spot. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I think they're just kind of going to have to rock with it and hope Lamar stays healthy for a full 17, which, he's done. He did that the past 2 seasons, and you're hoping that continues. So, I mean, what we saw out there was really rough, and the Ravens' rushing offense and defense was so good that despite 59 passing yards, they were able to win that game. And if I had to guess, I would probably say, to answer John Harbaugh's question, it probably is an NFL record for the least amount of passing yards in a game. Again, 59 passing yards in a game with 2 interceptions. The Ravens on the day, just for context, their quarterbacks had just 3 more completions than they did interceptions. 5 completions, 2 interceptions. So not a great day for those guys, but a great day for a lot of other people. We'll talk about Keaton, Mitchell, LaJohntay, Wester, and a lot of the defensive stars from this one coming up in the second part of the show on Locked On Ravens. First, this show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And one financial goal I've been meaning to get serious about for a while, it is my saving. And sometimes I look at my spending and I'm surprised by how fast it adds up. Well, Monarch has helped me a bunch because having everything in one app makes it really easy to manage my money on a day-to-day basis. And I've wished for a while that I could have all my accounts and spending in one place. And Monarch does an exceptional job helping me out with everything related to saving. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com. 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of year. NFL kickoff is almost here, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. And this year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, me and Locked On Ravens are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. And one of my favorite features, new guillotine leagues. They just dropped, and every week the lowest scoring team is eliminated, and the last one standing wins, whether you're all in on something new or like sticking to head-to-head leagues or jumping into public leagues. Yahoo has got you covered. Celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness. Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. With the season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, you can still play in head-to-head private leagues or join a public league. Stay tuned for more killer announcements to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Back here on Locked On Ravens, Kevin Oestreicher still here with you on this Friday edition of the show after the Ravens Week 1 preseason win over the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm sorry we were so negative in the first part of the show. I mean, there were so many positives. We talked a lot of positives a lot of the time. We did the live watch along, which was really fun. We had over 9,000 people initially tune in for that one, which was really fun. We also ended up doing both a post-game stream and a Locked On Ravens squad show post-game stream. So it's a slew of Ravens content for you that is out there every single game day now. I'm super pumped for it. So really appreciate all the communities. We have my 6-year anniversary of the show coming up on August 12th. So that's going to be really exciting. Just, man, football's back and I'm pumped for it. And you know what else I'm pumped for? Keaton Mitchell snaps in the regular season, because Keaton Mitchell snaps in the preseason. That was a pretty fun time last night, wasn't it? Keaton Mitchell stole the show over the course of the game on Thursday. 9 for 68 in a score for Keaton, 7.6 yards per carry. He looked fast. He looked elusive. And the most important part to me, he looked confident. He looked confident on the field. And on the squad show, Nick Moore, Ravens long snapper, he and Keaton were actually rehabbing injuries together at the same time. Nick tore his Achilles in the offseason of 2023 when Keaton ended up tearing his knee up at the back half of 2023. Those two were rehabbing together, and it's a great thing. If you haven't checked out the squad show, be sure to do so. But Nick talked about how kind of seeing him go through his journey and seeing him get back out on the field. And he talked to Keaton after the game. Like you could tell Keaton felt that confidence. And sometimes it does take like a year to play differently on your healed up body and find a way just to be yourself again. And seems like Keaton did that. He bounced outside all the Ravens running backs. Honestly, I talked about this a ton last night. They all bounced outside very, very well. The vision was there. They weren't just trying to slam their head into the middle of the pile. They were trying to figure out, okay, how do I best maximize this? And you could tell like the gears were turning, jumping to the outside. Keaton did that a lot. So shout out to him. He's also a very good contact runner. I know, again, people look at his size and say, oh man, Keaton's small. He's just a speed guy, just a gadget guy. No, Keaton is a strong back, and he was actually one of the best yards after contact players in the league during his rookie season when, he went on that tear. He will fight for yards after he gets hit, and he did that on Thursday night. I was really excited for him. He was like the star, I think. If they didn't play Keaton Mitchell in the preseason again, I'd be fine with it because I think we've seen what we needed to see. He's not going to get 25 touches a game. That's all right. That's for Derrick Henry, and that's what it should be. But I think Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, they're going to provide some much needed different skill sets to the table. Derrick has his skill set. He has a vast array of skill sets within a skill set, it speaks to his talent. But it's nice to have both Justice and Keaton be able to spell you. And Derrick, this running back room to me, with those three, Derrick, Justice, and Keaton, is the best in the league, and it's not really close. LaJohntay Wester, we got to talk about him. LaJohntay has the juice. He has it. 2 punt returns that were absolutely electric, and that's another guy that, he has a plan. The Ravens haven't had a guy like that really since Jacoby Jones, and rest in peace to Jacoby. But I've said it on I've said it on Locked On Ravens, the show. I've said it on the squad show. I said it on the watch along, even the post game show. The Ravens, they've tried Cyrus Jones. That worked for a little bit. Devin Duvernay had his moment. Tylan Wallace had the moment down the sideline. They had Janarian Grant. They tried Desmond King. We could probably, if I sat here for long enough, I could probably name all the Ravens punt returners that they've tried out over the years, but they've lacked that juice. And you can see the shiftiness, the speed, the elusiveness. As LaJohntay took that ball back 87 yards to the house for a touchdown. He was a guy coming out of college. We saw that he was going to have the ability in, I don't want to say it's a gadget role because I feel like that puts players in a box that limits them, and it doesn't feel right. But, in my opinion, LaJohntay has a specific skill set that the Ravens can utilize, honestly, within the offense as well. I mean, he did lead the Ravens in receiving, and he had a nice play up the sideline. But that was a play where LaJohntay takes that ball. He kind of tries to cut up field a little, or he does cut up field eventually, but he kind of runs and evaluates where everybody is. And then he does. He cuts up field through the middle and just beats everybody for a touchdown. You see the potential there. He even made something out of nothing on his first return too, where he got shifty with the spices and ended up making something out of what really could have been nothing. So I thought that he showed, again, everything that you needed. I know John Harbaugh was he didn't want to say that anybody had won the job. You want to go through the process, but man, I think LaJohntay Wester, the hot take, maybe a hot take. LaJohntay definitely locked up that punter job and a roster spot on Thursday night. And you gotta feel good for him too. He's a guy that you could tell in his post game press conference and the way he was celebrating on the field with his guys, it meant a lot to him. So you really gotta love that. Other than that, I mean, we know that Daniel Falele had a rough go of things. He wasn't square. He got pushed he got pushed on his butt on the ground. Center's foot got caught up under him, but it's not an excuse. He wasn't well in his base in there, and it was rough overall for Daniel Falele. I don't think the Ravens should have given the spot away that easily. I think there should have been a competition. I don't know why the Ravens re-signed Ben Cleveland if they don't want to play him or at least give him opportunities. I thought Ben Cleveland was fine. I thought he was actually good. I thought he was moving bodies on certain plays. Voorhees, I thought, had a decent time out there. Like, he had a good block on Keaton's touchdown run, I believe it was. It's just Falele is too inconsistent. Some of the same stuff pops up here. And again, you want to give the benefit of the doubt, but you put a lot of work in. You just see the same stuff pop up and it gets kind of discouraging. So, in that sense, you kind of wonder. And Lamar Jackson, a good point also was that this proves to me how valuable Lamar Jackson is, because Lamar Jackson can mask for some of that stuff, ways that Cooper Rush and Devin Leary can't. Like, they can't do what Lamar Jackson does. So for Falele in the offensive line, it makes the offensive line look a lot better than sometimes it is on certain plays or in certain games. So, another way Lamar Jackson is the MVP, but I digress. Roger Rosengarten also on that same Falele play that went viral, he got beat on a block, but the play was kind of over before it began with the whole Falele thing. I know people are concerned about Rosengarten in year 2. We're just going to have to see. I know that he's had some rough goes of it in terms of penalties and whatnot, but I still have confidence in Roger. I still think it'll be all right for him. So, I mean, look, offensively, there really wasn't anything else to report outside of that. I mean, the run game, Rasheen Ali started a little slow, but ended up turning it up a little later in the game, had the touchdown, the big kick return as well. Really good special teams night for the Ravens as well. Tyler Loop went 1 for 2 on field goals. Nick talked about that with us on the squad show. 46, he missed, but he stubbed his toe a little bit, and that was his first kick in the NFL. And then 52, he ends up nailing it. So I'd say a pretty solid day overall for the special teams unit. Just a solid day. Little slight work for the special teams group. Coming up, though, in the final part of the show, we'll continue talking about the stars from the win over the Colts in week 1 of the preseason defensively, and then we'll dive into a little bit of a roster evaluation because the Ravens did suffer a couple of injuries, unfortunately, in this game. So stay tuned. Plenty coming your way on the show. First, this show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies, just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the court or off of it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. And for me, I come from a golf family. I've seen my fair share of crazy hole-in-one shots and wild things along those lines. And the boost you get from 5 Hour Energy on the course, it is incredible. Golf's all about the good times, the good people, and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. Back here, Locked On Ravens, Kevin Oestreicher still diving into Ravens coverage and content with you here. Appreciate everybody for being here, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day and your first listen each and every single day. Might have a couple bonus episodes this weekend. Not sure yet. Obviously, if there are headlines, we will talk about them. So be on the lookout for any other content that comes your way over the weekend. If not, though, of course, be back here on Monday. But still one more segment to go here on Friday. And we're going to talk about the defense as well as a little bit of a roster evaluation based off the injuries the Ravens suffered. Now, defensively, I was impressed with a lot of people. I think, first of all, got to give credit to the pass rushers. Mike Green looked bendy off the edge. Kadri Ismail, he said this, and I agree with him on this. Should have been half a sack between him and Adisa Isaac. They both kind of got there at the same time. They awarded it to Adisa Isaac, who I thought had a really good game. You can tell that, like, he was able to have a full off season of NFL training, and, he's kind of filled into his body, which, you really like to see. David Ajabo took a free path to Anthony Richardson on a miscommunication on the Colts side of things. So he had a good audition. I mean, these are guys that, not that Green's spot is in trouble. I think Isaac also is safe. But Ajabo, his path to a roster spot is being able to force the Ravens to keep 6 outside linebackers on their roster. And that's a lot. That's not the number that I would give them. But if Ajabo plays well enough, then, they might not have a choice. So all 3 of those guys played well. I thought that Mike Green showed aggressiveness. He showed his motor. He was chasing down guys from behind. Like, he was involved and active. And I liked what I saw. I think it wasn't like the debut of debuts. It wasn't like LaJohntay Wester or anything. but I do think Mike Green had a really solid day on Thursday. Lamar Davis, JAD was really sticky in coverage. I thought that he played really well. Only one tackle, but 2 passes defensed. When the ball was thrown his way, it was tough for these receivers to get their hands on it. So I thought he played well. Bo Braid led the team with 7 tackles. He was all over the field. DJ Tampa had an up and down night. Played really well towards the end of the game, but struggled at times at the beginning of the game. But John Harbaugh kind of said he had to play throughout the entire game, and that was really good because TJ was hurt for a lot of his rookie year, and getting that experience and just being out there and playing football, it is of great benefit to him. Got to shout out Aeneas Peebles as well. If you listened to the show yesterday with Sam and Joku and I pegged him as my breakout for the preseason. He had 3 tackles. He had a deflection at the line. He had a couple of hard wins at the line too that didn't necessarily equate to tackles or tackles for loss, but you could see him winning at the line and really making an impact. That was really big. CJ Ravenel had a really nice day. 3 tackles and a quarterback hit that resulted in an interception. Chandler Martin and Jay Higgins. Higgins was the one on the interception. He had a deflection to the line. Martin had a deflection to the line. Both those guys flying all around the field. So a lot of good from this defense. Also, a couple of other players that I thought played well in this game. I thought Brent Urban had a couple of nice plays. I also thought CJ Okoye had good plays as well. He had a monster quarterback, and I believe it was on Daniel Jones. So I thought that he played well. And then you saw Keon Martin play well too. 5 tackles in the game, all around the ball. I thought he was really good as well. So defensively, a lot of different guys stepping up. And you didn't really see, the most prominent defensive players to play were the rookies and Malaki Starks and Mike Green. Other than that, not a lot of guys on the field for the Ravens in terms of like key starters. So overall, I thought it was fine for the defense. Again, the way the pass offense went, like you had to have a good running game and a good defense to win a game like that. And that is exactly what they did. So, you look at the team stats, penalties are a thing they have to clean up as well. Still, again, not a lot of the starters out there, but regardless, 743 for the Ravens. The Colts were actually worse, 9 for 107. But, I think that for Baltimore, the efficiency on third down, they were just under 33%, 6 for 19. Or no, it's the Colts. The Colts were 6 for 19. The Ravens were 5 for 14. So they were just over 33%. The Colts were just under 33%. So look, a lot of good things to take away. You got to hope to build on it for guys like Keaton Mitchell and Mike Green, Adisa Isaac, and all those guys. You kind of got to figure out your roster situation as well here, as the Ravens did suffer a couple of injuries in this game. Unfortunately, for Bilal Kone, it will end his season. He was playing really well in camp. Everything that you heard, he was playing great, and then was playing well to start this game against the Colts. But, had a great pass deflection, and then I guess just planted wrong. His leg buckled, and his entire leg went the wrong way. It was an extremely gruesome injury. If you haven't watched the replay, just be warned, it is very graphic. I didn't share it because it was that graphic. It's not, you hate to see stuff like that. And you could tell the second it happened, like you pray and you hope that it's not as bad as it looks, but in the back of your mind, you just know it. And so Bilal Kone tore his ACL and MCL. He will be out for the season. And, it's tough. Injuries happen in football. No team can avoid it. The Colts, actually, one of their standouts from joint practices, Justin Wally, the cornerback, broke up a deep ball on Rashad Bateman and had a few other nice plays. He tore his ACL in this game, so he's out for the year. Just brutal, especially for guys who are rookies and, their first NFL action, a moment of such joy and accomplishment ends in just absolute heartbreak. So prayers up for those guys. The Ravens will have to evaluate their corner spot. Robert Longerbeam, their other cornerback selection, he did not play in this game due to injury. So feels like to me with this injury, Lamar Davis, his spot is safe on the roster. And who knows, maybe the Ravens bring in somebody else. But the Ravens, John Harbaugh also said that they're going to have to evaluate their running back position because Rasheed Ali got banged up in this game. Talked about him in the second part of the show. Apparently he got banged up. There hasn't been any indication of what that is, at least not at the time I'm recording this. We might know more information tomorrow or the next day or who knows. But they brought in D'Ernest Johnson because Marcus Major got a concussion and they're not going to play Derrick Henry or Justice Hill in the preseason. So they needed somebody to take on carries. And I thought D'Ernest Johnson played decently fine. Like, I thought he was all right. He took the lion's share of the carries. He had 18 of them for 57 yards. But if Ali can't go and you're not going to play Derrick Henry, you're not going to play Justice Hill, and maybe you're not going to play Keaton Mitchell anymore, can't just be the D'Ernest Johnson show. You're going to have to bring somebody or maybe even two guys in. So that's a tough break because the Ravens already are kind of thin on roster space, and they had to cut the other kicker in their competition, which, again, it's not really a competition anymore, but they liked him. They didn't want to cut him, it didn't seem like. So they're going to have to see which guys they might have to let go of that they might not want to right now, but that's kind of the nature of what's going on for the Ravens at this point. So Ravens win, lots of takeaways, lots of positives, some negatives, just your typical preseason game. So that's all I have for you here today on Locked On Ravens. Thanks so much for tuning in to the show. Maybe some bonus episodes on the weekend, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday, not sure yet. So be sure to stay tuned if we do have that or any other content. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. But if not, I'll see you right back here soon on Locked On Ravens. So be sure to hit the like and subscribe button in video form and follow along in audio form. And we'll be back with more Locked On Ravens.